the Sony Xperia 1 Mark III. I'm finally getting the hang of actually saying the name because, it's Xperia 1 III, right? So some people get confused. I'm just referring to it as Mark III, so it's not a big deal for me anymore. Right, so, I want to share it because I've had this for about a week now. So, unfortunately, UK reviewers did not get this for a month like some of the American reviewers did, which was kind of weird.
I didn't. Don't put me in there.
Well, not you, obviously. You're not Marquez. You're not Marquez. Anyway, so here's the thing with Xperia devices. There's a lot that I like about them, right? The problem is whenever I cover a device, I cover the positives and the negatives. The problem I find is the hardcore fanboys just hold on to the negatives and they grasp on, and then they just will not let go. That why did you say this negative? And it's like, look, I said a lot of positives about it as well. So I'm going to start off with the positives again. Mm-hmm. It's one of the sharpest displays that you're going to get out there. Probably the sharpest display that we've had this year, as far as I'm aware, right? It's very, very crisp, right? And the fact that it's also now 120 hertz is something that I really appreciate, because last year we had 4K and 60 hertz, right? And I remember asking this to TK, who's a good friend here on the channel, and also I would say a very much a Sony fan. And I asked him, I said, look, if I gave you the option for the Sony Xperia 1 Mark II to have a 4K display with 60 hertz or a Quad HD display with a 120 hertz, which would you choose? Guess what he said? 120 hertz, right?
Exactly, yeah.
And pretty much any Sony fan that I asked this, and then in my opinion, that was the wrong decision. This year, they've given us both. So it's like, all right, brilliant. Amazing display. And I actually appreciate the 21:9 aspect ratio, right? Because when you're scrolling, you can see more of the feed. And also, it's easier to hold in one hand, so you can easily reach the other side. So it's something that I actually think that's quite different, and, I quite like. The one thing that I'm not so sure about, and it's a compromise that I do understand, is the brightness. The peak brightness is not as much, especially outdoors, compared to, say the iPhone, or especially the S21 Ultra, which is, one of my favorite devices outdoors. Obviously, we've got the Xiaomi Mi 11 Ultra, which is amazing outdoors as well. So that's the thing, but that's kind of a compromise I understand. If you're pushing out 4K at 120 hertz to also give you peak brightness, it's just, probably the technology isn't there at the time. So that's fine. And, the battery for the 4K display, 4,500 milliamp hours, it's been pretty decent for me, I would say. You do get the charger included at the box as well, which is obviously nice in this day and age. And, you're getting some unique features which you don't get on any of the devices these days. Let's be honest. You're getting a MicroSD card, right? You're getting a 3.5mm headphone jack. You're getting some front-firing stereo speakers, which sound absolutely awesome. I'd say some of the best-sounding speakers on any smartphone right now. Now, the thing for me is when it comes to the cameras, right? Okay, people have been going, Saf, compare this to the iPhone, compare this to the S21 Ultra. The problem is I cannot compare it in the traditional sense, and I would have to come up with a whole different camera comparison format, which would favor the Sony, which wouldn't be fair. You know what I mean? So I've not actually done a camera comparison for that reason, because, if I do a traditional camera comparison, the Sony's obviously going to lose, right? But then if I do a specialized camera comparison, I'm blatantly doing it just to make the Sony, somewhat win, so I can't win. And I, as a reviewer, that's a dilemma that I have, right? Now, here's the thing, right? I'm just going to give you my opinion on the cameras. I think the cameras are really great, and we've got some really good hardware here, right? I do like the fact that you can switch the focal length, right? But the zoom isn't actually that great, in my opinion, right? So you are using the same sensor for the variable zoom. What I would have loved is if you could actually do the in-between zooms as well, optically. Right now, you could just switch between 70 and 105, right? So it's just bam, bam, right? Here's my problem with the cameras, though, right? Okay. Front-facing camera is 8 megapixels, 1080p. It's trash. Okay. Now I get people saying, "Oh, I don't use the front-facing camera anyway." Well, that's up to you. I gotta cover it. I gotta cover it, right? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Whether or not you use it or not, I gotta cover it, right? Okay. That's what I have to do, right? Okay. Refacing cameras, right? Again, they're pretty good, and you've got so many controls, right? Which is thumbs up. I love having control and, really being able to dial the settings, and also because it's quite familiar to, Sony Alpha cameras. Here's my thing. Here's my argument, and it always has been. On my iPhone, I have Filmic Pro. which gives you, I would say, almost all, if not some more features, some different features, to really change up exactly and get the manual settings that you want, right? On an iPhone. And that is an app that I use all the time, and I absolutely love it, right? So my point is, okay, so I can somewhat get those features on a competitive camera, right? But what I can't do on the Sony, which I can do on other devices, is have software features like night mode, right? Now, E, you mentioned that you had a party, happy birthday to E, by the way.
Thank you.
And Kogan was taking pictures using night mode on the S21 Ultra, and they turned out great.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
Because, Kogan, and I will show you some of the pictures so you guys can, if you're watching the podcast, you will see some of the pictures. But what was interesting in this discussion, because we talked about this over the weekend on our Twitter Spaces, was the fact that, look, if it doesn't have a night mode, and I had a birthday party, it was in the evening, it turned to night, and I picked up, I said, look, David Kogan, you're a YouTuber, you know how to take photos, so be the photographer tonight. David was like, sure, no problem, buddy. And all David said was, hey guys, this is night mode, so just hold for a second. Don't just move erratically because it's just going to look bad. And he took a photo. People were a little bit grumpy, but once they saw the photo, they were like, okay, cool, another one, please, go ahead. And that is the difference, as opposed to, me using the Sony and taking a photo where it's not going to look good. I just watched Michael Fisher's video last night on the Sony, and those are some of the things he talked about, because he went to Montauk, which he always does, even though he makes it seem like it's something very, very new all the time. But but it was interesting to see the image quality, especially at night, where he's taking photos and it looked like something from literally 3 years ago, or even from a lesser camera. And that's the difference here, because for you to take that photo, this is something I learned from my buddy Marian Sell, is that this long exposure. And the part that gets me with this device is, I've always said this, and I'll say this, is I don't think Sony knows what market it wants to do, because they say this is for the professional photographer, right? And I have a very good friend who's a professional photographer, and I can tell you the phones that he enjoyed to use. He's an iPhone user on standard. He liked the Galaxy. He liked the Pixel. He loved the Huawei, especially the P20 and the P30, because it did things for him that he knows he has to take a photo, and then he goes to Lightroom, and then he has to do his edits, and then he will even take it back into Photoshop, and then might switch a couple of applications just to get the image the way he wants to, as opposed to whenever he went out to a party or he had friends over. Every photographer will tell you the best camera is the one in your pocket, not the one at home.
Exactly. Now, here's my what I want to mention about, you mentioned night mode, right? Okay. So Sony's argument seems to be that they want to go for more of a natural look, right? Okay. So I'm like, that's fine. Why not have the option for a night mode? It can be switched off by default. Give people the natural shot that you're looking for. But hey, there's going to be certain situations, because look, as I said, if I want, I can switch off night mode. Okay. And I can take pictures without that. And guess what? They'll look a lot more natural, right? Okay. I can go into pro mode on my S21 Ultra, and I can tweak some of the things to get the type of shot that I want. But on the Sony, there's not that counter thing, right? Portrait mode, again, you just don't get that same level of portrait mode that you get on, the other devices and stuff like that. So my point was, and I was emphasizing this last year as well with the Sony Xperia Mark II as well. These manual controls and all of these features are great. You're going for a natural shot, amazing. I love it, right? But then why are you not giving features which could essentially be here as options at least, right? And that way it'll be a lot more competitive. Why are you giving a 1080p front-facing camera for a device that's priced at $1,300, right? It's unacceptable in my opinion. And I'm not just giving Sony stick for this. Go back and see my camera comparison of the OnePlus 9 Pro, right? I'm ranting the exact same thing. If you have a flagship device with a 1080p front-facing camera, then I'm sorry, I'm going to criticize it, because yes, you may not use it specifically, but it is something that we've come to expect from flagship devices. Now, I also want to mention that for the $1,300 price point and the £1,200 price point, at least in the UK, you can get some of the Sony the headphones, Mark III headphones. I don't even remember the name. with those for free, right? So that actually makes the price a little bit more reasonable and competitive. But the other thing I want to mention about Sony is that this device was initially announced, what is it? Was it April time? April, May time, I think it was, right?
God, I got briefed around that time.
Okay.
Somewhere around then.
It's July. It's July now. Reviewers have got it in their hands. Guess when it's releasing? August. So look at the time gap between when it was announced, the hype is there, it's going down, it's going down, it's going down. You've got the reviewers kind of getting their hands on it. The hype goes a little bit up, but guess what? The device isn't going to release for over a month still. I think it's the 19th of August or something. Like, to me, that doesn't make any sense, right? I think, pretty much every other manufacturer, they announce a device and then within a month, maximum month, you can buy it, right? So the hype is there. Everybody's still interested. If it's a device in your mind, you already think that's an old device because you've heard about it from April, right? Mm-hmm. So that's another thing that's a negative on here. Now,
I want to add something quickly here. So a lot of Sony fanboys will say, at $1,300, you're not just getting a camera, you're getting, the video output features, to your professional camera. You're getting one of the cool features that Sony did introduce that I do like is the fact that while you're gaming, it saves your battery and it doesn't actually use your battery if you're plugged in to your charger. It just uses directly from the wall socket. That's great, and that's cool. But here's the thing about smartphones. Smartphones are now graded first on camera, not by me, not by Saf, but by every consumer, because that is what they have in their pocket. We no longer buy cameras specifically to take photos. We buy cameras because you're creating content as a content creator, as a videographer, and all that kind of stuff. Your phone, literally, the first thing you do in your phone is take photos. So those have to match. There's a reason why the market leaders are Apple and Samsung. Not because, there's advertising, there's marketing, but the fact that, look, they have gone a long way to make taking photos easy for the regular consumer. Now, you may say, this is for the professional, but I can almost guarantee you a professional look at that and go, I might as well just pick up my A7S III or my Canon or my whatever.
Exactly, because this is something that Fisher said in his review as well, that, if you're going to be, essentially, if you're going to be carrying around a tripod, right, to be able to use this camera properly and doing all of this and that, you might as well, and if it is that pro that Sony's completely targeting, they already have an alpha camera with them, right? I own 3 Sony alpha cameras, okay? And most of the time, one of them is with me, right? You also own 3 Sony Alpha cameras, and they're amazing, right? Now, if I'm going to be doing all of this faffing around, right, to get the right shot, why not just pull out my Sony that I've got in my backpack anyway and just use that? You know what I mean? Right? Yeah. And the other thing is with smartphone photography, right? I like having those manual options because there's sometimes you can, like just if you want to get like a silhouette or something, certain situations where you really want to kind of have that manual control. But the problem is you've got fixed aperture on all of these cameras, right? So if you're outdoors, right, you're going to be on a stupid ass shutter speed in order to be able to get things not overexposed, right? And it's just not going to work because, again, it's a smartphone camera. So again, for me, this is the reason why I really like the iPhone camera, right? Is because I use it for different things. I most of the time have my Sony with me anyway, right? My Sony A7 S3 or my Sony A7C, right? And I can just pull that out and I get amazing shots and I absolutely love it, right? But the reason why I use my smartphone camera is for quick things. If I just want to get, like dynamic range, you get some great dynamic range straight out of the bat, which you can share straight away. And that's what, most people use their smartphone photography for. Now, if Sony want to carry on and do this very specifically targeted device, that's all well and good, right? But then you can't criticize us for calling it an enthusiast device because that's exactly what it is. So we're calling it what it is. We're reviewing it as we review other devices. We can't really change the review process to favor this to make it look good. We're using the same review process when we're comparing it to other smartphones as well. We can't like favor something over another. So this is the thing. I kind of just want to kind of get this out there. I'm sure there's going to be lots of Sony fans hating in the comments and stuff. That's fine. You go ahead and do that. I'm going to give you my honest opinions regardless.
I will just say this is that, look, right now, there are only 2 manufacturers who have the ability to give us a true all-around phone. The iPhone is not, and I'll tell you why. Sony and Samsung are the only 2 companies that have divisions that have quality on almost every single aspect, right? Sony displays in terms of TVs, even their professional monitors are crazy. Sony has a great audio department. We know how the headphones are, speakers as well. Sony make these sensors for almost everybody's cell phone out there, right? Sony has a great camera division. They have a gaming division. And all I am asking, I don't know about Saf, but I'm asking is Sony, if you want to tell me, spend $1,300. If we did a Voltron of all those divisions and all powers combined, Captain Planet type thing, and you gave me Captain Planet, I would pay for that. At least I will talk about it, because you are now showing that, yes, the best of Sony is here. What I feel here is that the best of one division is trying to do something while not all of it is coming together, and it's not a synergistic approach, which is why, somebody asked me, is like, will Sony go the right route of LG? And I say it's very possible, because they are not catering to a market that is waiting for them to be catered to. There is a void for number 3, a huge void, because Huawei is gone, LG is out of the market, and nobody has taken that number 3 spot. No one.
It's like Xiaomi, Oppo, they're all kind of floating around that number 3 place. And it's
Pixel is trying to do a push now with the Pixel 6, because we're hearing they're going high end and all these different things. But there's just nobody there. And you have the pedigree, you have the history to do it, and you've got the skill sets to do it. I'm just asking, show me what you can do. That's all. That's all I want.
Yeah, but I mean, this is the thing. Again, I guarantee you, based on this video, people are just going to look at all the good things that we said about the device earlier on, it's just going to be completely forgotten, and they're just going to kind of hold on to, oh yeah, you guys just don't know how to shoot with cameras and stuff. Who needs night mode? I don't use a front-facing camera anyway. Hey, look, it's up to you. If that's who the smartphone is for, then that's great. But all I'm saying is it's only ever going to be a very niche and enthusiast device. And if that's exactly what Sony want and they're happy with that, then that's great. But we're going to review it based on our experiences and our format of how we review other devices. And we're going to do that. And if that's not to your level, then goodbye. Anyway, that's what we wanted to say. But I really hope that, Sony doesn't go down the LG route, right? As I said, some things that I would love to keep with this device, such as the 21:9 aspect ratio. I'm happy with the 4K 120 Hz as well. Sure, I'll make the compromise, but give us a better front-facing camera. Give us more camera features. Sure, keep those manual settings and everything that you've got, but give us more camera features that we see in other devices as well. Give us those options, and then you're not going to have an excuse. We're not going to have an excuse, because not only can this smartphone be for enthusiasts, but it can be for people who are after a proper flagship device, a different flagship device, and then they can become those enthusiasts. We'll see. I hope you enjoyed that clip. If you want to hear the full podcast episode, then that will be linked down below. And if you want to see more clips like this, then be sure to subscribe and hit that bell icon so you don't miss them. Thanks for watching. This is Saf on SuperSaf Speaks, and I'll see you next time.